Hello, and welcome to the exciting world of decorative mending. So recently I was at the thrift store and I find this adorable bedtime bear. Hello. But what you can't see is that when I first found him, he was covered in stains. He visibly smelled, or whatever it's called, when other people can smell something just by standing in its vicinity. It was like green and brown in multiple places, and I had to scrub him with a toothbrush, especially all over the belly, and dish soap, and I put him through the wash in the dryer, wrapped up in a pillowcase so he wouldn't die, and now he's doing much better. However, there is a couple of areas where we need to do some minor first aid. Here, there's a little hole on his hand. Under the other arm before us we see a much larger hole. Now, I actually think this won't be too hard to fix up, but I'm going to make some patches. And I luckily have blue starry fabric from a craft set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this layered over a solid fabric to make some decorative patches, so you're a part of the doll instead of being hidden. So I'm gonna put the starry fabric over it, and then we will apply it to the holes. I'm going to use embroidery floss for the actual sewing part, so that will be visible too, but it's an intentional part of the decoration. First thing I want to do is measure about how big I want each patch to be. So because this is a pretty small hole, I think I'm probably going to make it a square, and it'll be about 1 inch on each side. Over here, this will be a little trickier because it's right underneath the seam, but I think I can manage it. And I want it to be about 2 inches on the long sides and 1 inch on the short sides. Now we're going to mark out the pieces. And I'm using a regular pencil because it's easy to erase, and I haven't found any good marking pens yet. But normally what you would do here is you would use a pen or a pencil specifically designed for drawing on fabric, usually the kind that will come off with heat. So that's going to be the actual edges of the patch that you can see, but I'm going to add a seam allowance of about 1/4 inch so that I can fold the edges over and it'll look nice and neat. These lines at the corners show where I need to snip them so that I can fold the edges behind. And next I'm going to make the rectangle. Kind of like baking cookies, when you're drawing out pattern pieces, give them like a wide space from each other so that you have room to draw the seam allowance too. As I'm making 2 layers of fabric, I basically need to cut these out twice. The one on top, I think what I'm going to do is cut out the pieces of the solid fabric and pin them to this one, and I'm going to use the solid pieces more as a pattern. When you are cutting out fabric, make sure you use fabric scissors. Anything else will get broken. And don't use fabric scissors to cut anything besides fabric. what I want to do is fold the edges under like this. See? I'm gonna go slowly because this is kind of, well, it's very small and it's very delicate. We are going to sew. Note that because I am not cutting fabric, I am not using fabric scissors. I'm using normal craft scissors because not doing that tends not to go well. Alright, I tried this on my own to make sure it would work. I haven't done this stitch in a long while, but how we're attaching this is using a blanket stitch. And to do that, you come up from the back like this. You kind of act like you're going to start another stitch. And now we actually don't pull this all the way tight yet. Instead, what we do is put it through like this. I will come back and fix this later. I ran out of thread here, so I had to improvise. This will typically be used to fix a tear in a blanket, but it's also useful for attaching two things together. A lot of times you'll see it to fix the edge of something, and because it's a patch, we kind of have to sew around the edge. See how these are all locking together? That's why it's useful for edging. Smaller patch. This I'm going to go even more slowly with because it's so small. This is the bigger patch. I added some extra stitches for security up here because that's where the hole runs into a seam and it was kind of dicey. I think it looks nice. Here we have the tiny patch. I think this one's a lot neater. It's very cute. Very much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Decorative mending is one of my favorite crafts, and I hope I can get some other people into it too. If you want to support my work, you can do that right here on YouTube or on Instagram and Ko-fi at Anya's Art. There, the I is actually an I and not a 1. See you there!